So, uh, everything is there. Okay, so usually I give this presentation to the graduate students who join the medical school. Every semester, the first lesson I give them is workshop on ethics and responsible conduct in biomedical research. So I may be a little bit straightforward and aggressive in my presentations. Please bear with me because there are wild things happening in science. That's what I'm going to show you. I need to click here.
No, move left. Slide. Move left.
From right to left.
So I'm going to highlight some of the errors misconduct happened in scientific literature dating back to 1900s. I'm not going to show any previous cases. Anyway, the topics for today I will skip because I know the time is not perfect. We have only 15-20 minutes for the coffee break. Some definitions, I'll briefly go through that. Classical cases of scientific misconduct. I'm going to show you, my title was responsible conduct, but I'm going to show you all the misconduct because only if you know the misconduct happening, then you can be responsible in conduct. So that's why the title is different than the presentation. Classical cases, and then I'll show what else? What else?
Just slide.
Yeah, slide, okay. That one, yes? The background is gone anyway. Visual, can you do that?
Yes, for me.
Yeah. Consequences of scientific misconduct, prevention and deterrence of scientific misconduct. And then now we added that image manipulation. This is very robust, rampant in scientific literature and implication, of course. Misconduct or misconduct in science means fabrication, falsification, plagiarism, or other practices that seriously deviate from those that are commonly accepted within the scientific community for proposing, conducting, or reporting research. So it does not include honest error or honest differences in interpretation of judgment or data. So I have definitions for this. I just quickly go through that. Three main types: falsification, deliberately misrepresenting research, including the progress of research. Exaggerated claims, not showing the negative results, showing only the positive results in scientific research. Ignoring prior relevant reports, not citing previous research publications, for example. And then the next one, please. We have fabrication. This is very difficult to detect. You can completely fabricate an experiment. Dishonesty in reporting results, ranging from fabrication of data, improper adjustments, etc. As I said, selective reporting or omission of conflicting data for deceptive purposes. Next one, plagiarism, taking credit for someone else, or stealing or robbing data from others. So you use others' data to publish. I don't know whether any of you are aware of these things, but I'm mostly focused on the students here because you are the future generations. Copying, the writing of others without proper acknowledgement, otherwise falsely taking credit for the work of others. So you take others' research into yours and publish. Next, so while giving my lectures to the students, I added a few more into the list. This should be considered as scientific misconduct because mistreating animals in all countries we have now, in mostly the developed countries. Some activists do not like animal experiments. Harassment of individuals in the lab, in the department. Misuse of funds. I know few people who have done it. Vandalism. Disturbing others' experiments. We just discussed yesterday one of the persons which we dealt with throughout our postdoctoral studies. Avdesh and I worked in the same with the same supervisor, but in different years. But we went through one of them. Ignorance or violations of safety regulations. This is very critical because I'm the assistant dean of safety and research facilities management in my School medicine, so I need to monitor this as well. Next. These are some of the guidelines which whenever the students or researchers join our groups to conduct research, we always tell them proper record keeping by exercise. Now they don't have exercise books, but now maybe iPad or tablets. Write down whatever you are doing. Backup electronic data. I don't know whether any one of you experienced. A lot of us in the beginning we lost data because the computer systems were updating, and you just completely lose your data. Maybe in some situations, if the power goes off, then you will lose data. That's why you need to back up. Proper labeling and storage of samples and data. So, fortunately, no, I think here also you have interstate mix of researchers in the lab. I worked in 7 countries and I had international colleagues. So when we give something or buy something, some reagents, people from some countries, they write in their language what is inside. So this is not good because if something goes wrong in the lab, you don't know what is inside. So we always see maybe someone in your lab from Karnataka or Andhra Pradesh, from Karnataka, so they write in Kannada or Telugu in the reagents, then you will not know what is inside, right? So that's improper labeling. Use of equipment in a responsible manner. We use pH meter, spectrophotometer or microscopes, for example. While I was using, if the instrument gets damaged, I should report, because the next person, during his experiments, he or she will come and want to use that, and it's not working. Entire 3 days protocol procedure is a waste, right? So this is why use of equipment in a responsible manner. Next. Okay. So the other questions we ask is: did you calibrate? Did you weigh the chemicals in the correct balance? For example, you have different types of balances. Some balances weigh only up to micrograms. Some are grams. You can't weigh microgram in a bigger balance. Then your whole experiment is corrupt. Did you go back? Did you contaminate laboratory stock? This is again in a lab when you have 5, 6 researchers or even 10 researchers working. If you are taking a stock reagent, for example, culture medium, if it's contaminated by one person, the entire lab gets, the experiment gets destroyed. Okay, so these are some good practices. Reproducibility is one of the biggest issues. Many research publications, scientists were not able to reproduce. Some of them, were not true. You repeat. Sometimes you waste a lot of time, resources, and then pause and think if you have made a mistake during the measurement. That is why the lab book helps. Every day I had my lab book. We are not allowed to take out of the lab, even if you leave the lab. But I took mine from Vancouver and I still have it. It was in '97. I still have the lab book. Every day, even though the fish fluorescence insider hybridization I do repeatedly, but I write down every step when I do experiment each day. So that's where you can go back and check where you did the mistake if the experiments don't work. Okay? Am I going too fast because I'm stressed to finish on time? Go back, there was one more point. I don't know whether you are already doing experiments or not. This is one of the concepts, one of the topics we always discuss: signal to noise ratio, background data, background frequencies, for example. One example is you take a cell suspension and go to the flow cytometer. You may get some signals, but you don't know what is the background signal for that particular reagent. Some reagents autofluoresce, right? So that's a signal to noise ratio. Systematic error. Some of them the random errors and context dependent. Take care to present everything to the supervisor. Okay, not hiding your some of the data which you feel that not favoring the hypothesis. Don't just report positive or expected results. You need to report even the negative results to the supervisor or advisor. We don't call them supervisor in our university anymore. We call them advisor. If error is not realized and published, retraction and embarrassment. Okay, so that part I'll come back to that later. Right? So some examples. I'm showing only the cases which are closed. That means the results have been published, the investigation has been done, and report was published. Is it going on or is it? Okay, go back. So some cases, the investigations are still ongoing that I'm not going to touch because if I show that I'll be in prison, maybe Kadalur, right? They'll send me to Kadalur. Next. One classical case, Robert Millikan, Jan Hendrickson, I'll show the data, and Han Bokson is the stem cell biologist. And then William Summer. These are classical before digital board appeared, okay? Before. Mass deception, N-ray, instead of X-ray, he stated that he found N-ray. Yellow fire, code fusion. Code fusion is very interesting and double helix. Avdesh was earlier highlighting about DNA structure discovery, and that's also questioned by people. Next. Yeah. This is previous. What happened? The picture is not coming. Okay, then we have a problem. Okay. So here, so this is there are many papers from Jan Hendrickson which got scrutinized by the scientific community. He published the same graph in 3 different publications, and that too in Science, Nature. These are same thing. I don't know why it's happening there. Okay. So there are images. This one is classical case. I can't show the image. What to do? No, it's fine. So what he has done in 1973, he has published a paper that he has succeeded grafting tissue from one organism to the another. This is in mice. Okay. So the summary is finding the tissue that was to be transplanted should be placed in culture medium for some time prior to grafting. This is his experimental methods protocol. He showed that this by transplanting an area of skin from a black mouse to a white mouse. Transplanting skin. But these mice were in fact white mice decorated with a black felt tip pen. So digital imaging was not available that time. So he just put black mark on the white mouse and taken that photograph. I think I can't show without figure. Next. Okay. So there are many photographs. How can I go?
That's what, sir. I can connect your laptop from your laptop. I can directly connect it from your laptop.
Okay, you can see. Yeah. So these are the graphs as you see. Later on, people scrutinize this. The same graphs and some endpoints are just made during summer holidays. We prepare themselves. Okay. So these are 3 different papers with the same graphs. So this is how he published a black mark, and then he said graft is real experiment. This was way back, 1970s, right? So this is now here is stem cell cloning. This is not exactly plagiarism or that kind of thing, but it's an ethical misconduct. He hasn't taken approval from ethical committee. He used eggs from his own colleagues within his lab. So that's a major misconduct in science. cloned human embryo. Data confirmed to be fabricated and then retracted. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison and no grants to conduct research. And all his lab was closed. His students were in trouble. Whoever he was working, he has $3 million use for personal use, committing fraud by knowingly using fabricated data to apply for research funds. So when we generate research data by such methods, then you show that to the funding agency and then you get more money to do similar things. That is not accepted, violating bioethics. Again, in Japan, this is another major scandal occurred recently. Recently in the sense is 2014, 10 years ago. Riken against himself, which is the technique published in Nature called stimulus-triggered acquisition of pluripotency. So, for inducing pluripotency, this paper showed that you put the cells in ethanol and then make them pluripotent. The technique was repeated by people, and immediately, by this time, you have a lot of anonymous scientific bloggers. Once the paper is published in literature, now on the internet, it is read by millions of people who have access. So everybody will scrutinize. It's not paper printing anymore. You don't need to subscribe to the journals. Most of them are open access. And then they attempted to replicate, and then institute had started its own investigation, and then they found that there was scientific misconduct by the graduate student Obokata. So Nature retracted. Retraction means the published papers will be completely removed from scientific publications. So that's the retraction. It will be announced again. This paper has issues. Misconduct has been confirmed, and then fabrications of plagiarisms in literature. What was the last one? It's not even losing job. The supervisor, while in the institute, commits suicide because this was publicized. Newspapers, TV people were waiting outside to interview him about this major discovery, and upon stress and embarrassment, he committed suicide in his lab, in his institute. That is very strange. So this is the story. High-profile stem cell papers under fire, and then acid bath. He committed suicide. Okay. Usually I show a video of this. I can give you the search terms. You search online Anil Potti and CBS 60 minutes. So he has been investigated, and he's from CMC Vellore, graduate. He's a big professor at that time. This is bioinformatics data. Okay, very easy to manipulate. Potti and his team was accused of scientific misconduct, falsifying data. Eventually, what has happened was this paper was published in high Nature Medicine journal, and because it's gene expression data, what he has shown is that one particular set of genes are upregulated in a particular type of cancer, say DNA repair factors. Eventually, a drug was developed, and patients were under clinical trial. So that was the biggest fraud in the history of medical sciences, and it was on CBS 60 minutes. So why people do this kind of fraud or scientific misconduct? 70% of college students, I don't have a source for this, but I found somewhere. 70% of college students think they are above average in leadership quality. Okay? And then only 2% think that they are below average. Everyone thinks great, right? So now you can go to gym and get six-pack, and I'm so good. 94% of university professors think they are better than their neighbors in their office, right? Or colleagues. So everyone wants to show their research and everyone wants to be successful, right? And some people take shortcuts, some people keep working harder and harder at publishing. I will not show this video. There is a video how a postdoc in the US university disturbed others' experiments. He used to, this was captured on CCTV in the lab and they investigated, okay? So what he has done is used his students' FPS, he added alcohol or other types of reagents to destroy the experiment so that only he can get good results, the other should not get any results at all. So he wants to get favored by his supervisor so that his supervisor likes him and things like that, and it was investigated. He was punished. He was sent back to India on a he was on a work visa there. So you can search about him. You can find his name somewhere. Okay. I used to show this video because in the lab where he comes at night and throws things into the reagents and then disappears. Who a PhD student didn't get good results at all. A colleague's experiments to get ahead, it took hidden camera to expose a little known malicious side of science. So you can go here. So what happens to the research or published research which were found to be falsified, fabricated, and misconduct was investigated, then all those will be retracted from the journals. Okay? So you have now retraction index, particularly a website which collects this data. The growing attention has been given to fraud in the lay press, suggests that this incidence is increasing. It is not that it has not happened in the past, in the 1900s or 1950s, but we are getting to collect data on this because of digital world. Most of the time, higher percentage of high impact papers are getting rejected. This clearly shows that people want to be famous, and to achieve that, they will take some wrong path, right? Of course, this is 14 years ago. High impact journals have logged more retraction notices. Sorry. Okay, I'm getting a hand on this now. This is recent, but I just collected this. In 2023, more than 10,000 research papers were retracted. Okay. So these are complete investigations were done. Journals were reported, informed about the misconduct, and journals and editor-in-chiefs worked on that to retract the paper. And this will be announced again. Okay. How this happened? Now we have open access journals. Everybody is interested in special editions, special issues. I don't name the publishers here because it's being recorded. So there are a couple of publishers, open access journals in the world whose job is to publish papers as much as possible because each paper costs about $3,000. So they are publishing now thousands, 10,000. Why I'm not disclosing the name? Because they are millionaires now. Anything can happen. Who knows? The wrong may become correct in the future, and these people may be accepted worldwide because it's your generation. Our generation will not accept it. Okay. So guest editors, special issues. So many special issues in a single publisher. It's impossible to have that. As you see here, 10,000, and this was published in, and 8,000 were from one publisher. Okay, that is Hindavi. Hindavi is with John Wiley, I think now. Okay, and this is a photograph shown on that report. Okay. Most of the Hindawi retractions are from special issues, collections particles that are often overseen by guest editors that have become notorious for being exploited by scammers to rapidly publish low quality and sham papers. So this is a major scandal going on. We will not be able to stop this because it's very rampant. Now, the other way of doing publications is image duplications. So here are the reasons why the papers are being retracted. Flawed images, I'll get back to this later. Plagiarism or duplication of text. That is plagiarism. So you copy from somebody else's paper publication and put it into yours without citing, without checking any words from any text from the other's paper. Then this can be detected very easily. There are softwares which could detect all the duplications and plagiarism. Turnitin is one of them, and Authenticate is another software which would identify plagiarism. Okay. Then I did this. Okay. Now, once we have the data, when was this published? I think it's very 23. Thank you. Countries with highest number of retractions. This is very recent. Okay. If I have the graphs for the last 5, 10, 15 years. 5 years ago it was totally different. Different countries were on the top. Now we have more emerging countries. In all my previous, I have been giving this to the students for the last 15 years. And every year I expect that which countries may go higher. So there will be still chance for 2 of these countries to go up.
This is PNS,
Yeah, PNS, just 2012. So you can actually segregate what type of misconduct was conducted in those publications. Okay. Now we have a retraction leader. Okay. So just before coming here, I just found out the recent list. Remember, I told about this story, right? The first one, physics person, is from Bell Labs. He's a physicist. He is the highest one, 220, single, by one author. And these are now changing. This one came up recently, very fast, from India, and few Japanese and Iran. So a single author has retracted those many papers. That means entire his career is made up, right? Okay, I was telling you about the.
What's the last slide, please? I missed something there.
Okay.
Okay. I was interested in the last one.
So this is we can find this on the website. Leaderboard of retractions or retraction watch leaderboard. This is constantly being updated. Okay. It's interesting. This one I had a very nice story, but I don't have time today. Okay. This is a sociology scientist from Netherlands. He has some strange type of sociological surveys, and he publishes paper on surveys, but he made up all the data in Utrecht railway station, sitting there drinking coffee or beer. He just made up the data that eating meat you will be very aggressive. That's his conclusion of the paper. One of such research, okay? Examples. And living in dirty environment will make you more criminal mentality. This kind of research. I wish I had a photo. So this one, it's very common now. It's very difficult to detect. Some authors submit the paper online, and then sometimes some journals ask us to give reviewers names. And this person did submit papers and gave author names, but email address back to his own fake email addresses. Okay. Some of us editors, we try to choose not all the suggestions from one author. We find other reviewers for review, but one, this journal editor, he sent to all the three from this author, so that made. So eventually it was found out. Then he was punished for that. COVID-19 has become a very interesting period for all the entire world and for scientists. Okay? It became a boon for scientists as well. Fake news, conspiracy theories, non-existent clinical trials, fake research publications, and of course instant experts. Everyone was giving expert advice on COVID-19, how to what to do, what not to do, and things like that. Every day there is a paper published. And during COVID-19 there was a fast track publication. If you mention COVID-19 in the paper, your paper will be fast tracked for publications. Okay? So this has happened, and then now we know what went wrong in this case. Okay? See, this one is interesting. I like this kind of publication. 5G technology actually induced COVID-19 virus to replicate and quite. This is a paper on that. Deadlier than push scooters. And someone compared the death by COVID-19 and push scooters, and they just published. Okay. Terrestrial or cosmic origin of COVID-19, and this is really interesting observation. Okay. I think I need to stop, right? This is a very recently decided one. Hydroxychloroquine, the French clinical trial person was convicted of misconduct in this COVID-19 clinical trial.
From India?
No, it's a French clinician. Okay. It has been discussed many years, but now he's in trouble. Okay. So can we steal from ourselves? Can we duplicate our own research publications into a newer publications? No, right? It's also not allowed. Okay? But we can use our previous findings, but you have to prove that it is totally, will give you new dimension to the paper. Okay? Properly cited, that's important. I was highlighting about image duplication, image manipulation. Most of the retracted papers have fabricated images or duplicated images because southern blot from one paper is being published in another paper. Once the data is published in one paper, that should not be published again. Okay? So that's the point I'm trying to make. So some people have used the same image. Okay? Original image, some people even manipulate. I started using Adobe Photoshop in 1993. Okay, I can see an image and tell which is original and which is not original. Okay, so I started just 3 years after Adobe Photoshop started, marketing, doing image analysis. So scientists and students, PhD students now manipulate these images. Sometimes you take. So if you are scanning from a slide, you have only few scanned images and you keep using them again and again. That's duplication, right? So now how we come to know about this scientific misconduct? So we now have whistleblowing. It's not the fluoride away. I don't know whether you know fluoride. Here the song on whistleblow. Two aspects of whistleblowing: failure to report observed major instances of research misconduct is a misconduct itself. So if we observe that someone is fabricating, someone is manipulating, someone is conducting, doing a misconduct, it's good to report. Can we report just using our real name? If it's your advisor, if it's your director, you cannot do that, right? So we have a number of anonymous bloggers, anonymous whistleblowers. So even in our university, the whistleblowing we can send it anonymously, because eventually your job will be in jeopardy in that case. Okay. So when and how to report a suspicion of misconduct? When you know that it's not real, then definitely you can do the reporting. But the institution will conduct an investigation. So only after that it will be confirmed. So just whistleblowing is not going to do anything, but it will start or initiate the discussion. Example, whistleblowing is Margot O'Toole in Baltimore affair. You can read about it. David Baltimore is a Nobel laureate now. Okay, no fluoride away. Retraction watch is the one. The first thing in the morning I wake up and I go and search on this site what new papers are on this website, because I need to update myself for my lectures, right? He's the one who started this. It has been there for since 2010. These two people, they started this blog. And then 2012 there was another one called PubPeer. You can report in a logical way, methodological way, no arbitrary accusations, but you can find a paper and report it to this blog, and it will be definitely investigated by the institutions, because once you report into this, it will automatically go to the authors. An email will go to the authors. So once it goes there, then they have to respond. If they don't respond, then repeated email will go. Until few years ago, these two people, they started this. They were anonymous. Eventually, a US court has ordered them to disclose their names, because one of the affected individual went to the court and made these people publicize their name. Okay, they are scientists, actually. They are part-time job. Okay? His anonymous blog, he was also now being targeted by the scientists, because he is pinpointing all the misconduct in the world. And she is the one who detects all image duplications. Okay? She was a scientist, but she is very clever in identifying image duplications. Most of the PubPeer entries are from her. Now she is working as a consultant herself. Okay? Because of whistleblower, and eventually misconduct was confirmed, Duke falsified research, nearly 200 million worth of grants, and that was so he will collect $34 billion for this effort. Okay? This will not happen every day. Okay, maybe once in a while. I'm not going to advise you on how to prevent. I have shown you the bad examples. Please learn from it, and that's what I'm going to show. So I'll probably send it to Dr. Rajendra Prasad, and he can distribute to you this particular set of slides. Okay, education. This is what I want to do. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just educating you here in order to be aware of these things. And if you find someone is doing something wrong, please report. But don't get into trouble. Okay, be careful. And here I wanted to add this part, because this is another issue become very, very rampant in our field. Predatory journals and predatory conferences. You search on it now. You have internet, right? So you have on your mobile. You can search. There is no agreed definition. Everywhere, all these journals will ask you to submit a paper, and within a day they will publish it without even reviewing anything you can publish. And they target young PhDs because students want papers, right? Okay. So now we have integrity inspectors. Okay. So thousands of people all over the world, bloggers and maybe people, not necessarily they are scientists, they watch publications because a lot of funds have been given to the research scientists and publications are coming up, right? Okay, I think, okay, so this is another one. So now we have AI. People can write papers with no time. Okay, so just ask AI to write it. But there are softwares to detect. Okay, be careful. If you have written a paper by AI, people can detect it. So sometimes it's easy because people from non-English speaking countries, they just put it into AI, develop a paper, generate a paper, write, but we can clearly see that. So now this is called as tortured phrases. Okay? For breast cancer, they have a different word because when it translates from one language to another one, maybe you get different meaning. Okay, so those are AI generated manuscripts. So it's easy now. Sometimes even authors include fake names. AI used names of 3 researchers just last week. Okay, I don't want to show it, but I'm really sorry. I have to. I found this, but if your university is in the list, please spare me. Okay, it's not my fault. Okay. Okay. So this is India Research Was, which actually has taken the data from Retraction Watch. Okay. So whenever I give this kind of lectures in South America, different countries, when I go to those countries, I show the country data. I just want you to be aware. Okay? Sorry about it. And finally, please sir me, I want to return in one piece. Okay? That's why the people who detect fraud are really afraid of everyone. What is wrong with this one? Don't tell your organizers. I know where this has come from. I'm a telomere biologist. I worked on telomeres for the last 20-30 years. Okay? People can do reverse image search. Okay? I know where it is coming from. But this is very important. You can take, if it's on Creative Commons, but proper acknowledgement or citation is required. And this is very important, okay? I have to be here for another 4 days. Don't complain. I like this chemistry joke. Never trust an atom that they make up everything. And thank you for your attention, and I'm sorry I took longer time.
Thank you, sir, for University to present a certificate to Dr. Prakash Hande as a token of our appreciation.